It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Tim, it does not look like, according to your background, for those of you watching at home, that you are at Balmoral, where neither the racetrack in the suburbs or in Scotland, where the Queen died the day we're taping. And yeah, it's a solemn moment here, I guess.
Yeah. It's,
or as my one of my daughters said, Her Majesty's a pretty nice girl, but she doesn't have anything to say now. I thought that was a little acidic.
Yeah, she.
But it was a nice way to end the Abbey Road.
She died without dating an Arab. It was unusual for British royalty.
Not bad. Nice Dodi Fayed reference there. Love it. Love the illusion. So actually there were a couple of really touching things I saw. I saw a tweet that they replayed on September 12th, 2001. The Queen ordered at Buckingham Palace, the palace band outside to play the Star Spangled Banner. And there were people, British people, subjects, we're citizens, not subjects. Those subjects tried to subdue us citizens a couple of hundred years ago. But those people were crying. And I mean, if it didn't bring a tear to your eye about how, that was really a great gesture.
Are you sure though that they were playing the Star Spangled Banner?
What do you think they were playing? Monty Python's Flying Circus, which, by the way, is a Sousa march. And I don't know.
They could have been playing to Anachronon in Heaven.
Oh, is that really what Francis Scott Key based the Star Spangled Banner?
No, that's what the music that was eventually put to. It was a drinking song. It was like,
sure, I know that. Yeah, I know that, buddy. And I also know that the third stanza is racist. So yeah, screw the Queen and screw America, and don't ever let me get sentimental again, buddy. I can, So I
have to say I've never been a fan of British royalty. My opinion has always been that a lot of good men gave their lives 250 years ago, so we'd never have to look at the royal geeks again. But I have to say, for me it was really touching in her jubilee when she had tea with Paddington Bear.
I forgot about
it really showed a side of the Queen that I had never seen before.
So
that she
never appeared bare-bottomed on a piano bench with John Cleese, so she never went that far. I get that. I guess QE2 gives new meaning to quantitative easing right now, right into her eternal award. Yeah. So
is that your name for Charles, QE2?
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. The interesting thing is that as Mark Stein wrote a great tribute to her, because he is a subject of the British Empire, but he wrote, among other things, he quoted King Farouk, remember him, who once said there will be just 5 kings eventually, the 4 in a pack of cards, and the King of England or the Queen, because that's the way royalty is going. But here's the thing, ironically, the Queen, even though she's a monarch and in theory was an absolute power, really didn't have any in practice. And while she stood there, the rest of the continent was practically in chains or was always giving up freedoms. I mean, England is about the freest place over there. And yet, you juxtapose that with having this monarchy. So it somehow works. But a lot of reason that it worked was because of her personality, her diligence, and King Charles the III coming up right now is who knows? He could destroy the whole thing, right?
He quite possibly. He's an alarmist. He's a climate alarmist.
Yeah.
So electric cars might be coming to England before they come to California. I hereby decree.
Well, it's possible that he will politicize the monarchy the way that she resisted.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's going to be well, all I can tell you, it's going to be a great season 12 of The Crown. Between this and Liz Truss. What season are we on now? 4? Coming up to 4 or 5. I mean, Diana hasn't even, spoiler alert, she's going to be killed, I think, in the next season, in a tunnel in
After
Paris.
never have met Hillary. Having
Ah,
met Hillary, yeah.
oh, really? Is that, was she
I don't know.
supposed to? Oh,
I don't.
okay.
I don't know. I just.
So, if you want, and then somebody was telling me, well, you have Charles, and assuming the monarchy survives, he's got William, and William's got a son, right? So the monarchy should be in the hands of male heirs for like the next century. So if you're looking for a queen, you're going to have to settle for that chick in the House of the Dragon right now, Rahanis or whatever. And I don't know how steady the crown lies, future crown lies on
Khaleesi Jr.
Khaleesi, yeah. I mean, she looks just like her great granddaughter or whoever Khaleesi is. So I first of all, I mean, we should have a vote, and of course, I vote for Oprah to be the queen of all of us. So I know it's not democratically decided, but that would be my vote for queen. Who would you like to see
Elton John
as queen? Elton John, sure. You know that there's a story that John Madden, when John Madden died, they told the story that he was, I think they were in London for a football game, an NFL game, and he's sitting there having lunch with somebody, and somebody comes up to him, a bespectacled guy, and he says, "I just want to say that I'm like your biggest fan, and I enjoy you." And then he just scooted off, and and John Madden goes to whoever he's eating with, what a bothersome guy coming up to me, and his partner eating said, "Yeah, that was Elton John." So, oh, boom, doink. Okay, fine. Yeah, Tiny Dancer. Love that. Okay. Stacey Abrams, according to the Babylon Bee, announces that with a heavy heart, she will succeed Elizabeth II as queen.
She's got the vote. She's definitely got the votes.
And apparently, she's losing like 51-44 in she's already anticipating a rigged election in Georgia. Have you ever come close to meeting royalty at all? And any of the British royalty?
I have not. Do you have a story?
Well, first off, I have met Virginia McCaskey, and want to say she has outlived the Queen by almost 4 years right now, because she's going to be turning 100, I think, next month. But the Duchess of York, of course, who just whored around, Sarah Ferguson. Sure. Remember, she was selling everything.
Sure. Weight Watchers, I think, if I remember right, was Weight Watchers was the one.
Everything.
That,
well, speaking of Oprah, so so she's at our Fox 32 studios once, and I used to do these things called hallway ambush interviews, and she was pimping for some product, in her official capacity as the Duchess of York, with the news anchors. But then afterwards, I did this quote unquote ambush interview, and I assaulted her with a copy of that day's New York Times crossword puzzle, which was the Monday puzzle, the easy one. And I said, "Majesty, could you help me with this one? I need a 4-letter word. It says, Sarah, Duchess of Blank. Can you help me?" And she just pushed me aside, and then I chased after her and threw myself on the ground at her feet. "Majesty, please help me, Majesty." Wouldn't have any of it. But that is my story with that's the closest I've ever gotten to British royalty. It's the Duchess of York. So you have not gotten
nowhere near as close.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think I've gotten close to American royalty.
I shook hands with Jimmy Carter once.
Wow.
And Bob Dole after he lost. I shook his left hand with my left hand because he had the Well, I mean, he had it, but I did meet Jimmy Carter once. He was on Fox Thing in the Morning, and my old boss at the Lerner newspapers, Lou Lerner, was one of his first supporters, and actually became the ambassador to Norway under his administration. And he remembered Lou, huh?
Not a bad
gig. Not a bad gig at all. So I met Jimmy
lots
Carter.
worse places you could ambassador.
Yeah, and I told Jimmy right before he went on the air with Bob Surratt and Marianne Murciano, I think you're an anti-Semitic bastard, and that integration. No, so it was nice to meet him. But I've never met any other president. I've talked to. I mean, I used to do a radio show where we had Larry Kudlow on every week, and I got bored with it because it's the same damn thing every week. And then I once did a show with Mike Pence, could be the next president of the United States. I did a 2-hour show on a Saturday afternoon, and the guy made a ton of sense, but he bored the hell out of me because, as you know, Tim, I like to do the talking. Okay.
Yeah,
and
I've noticed that.
this guy filibustered, and he didn't even have
you really think Mike Pence has a chance?
No.
Okay.
I doubt it.
Could be the next a person to lose the presidential election to an unqualified Democrat. I'll give you that. I'll go that far.
Yeah, I just don't see him galvanizing the Republic. I mean, no way.
No.
How's he going to get nominated in the first place? I mean, I would be happy with him as president, wouldn't you? Would you settle for it?
I settle, yes.
Okay.
I would.
If you had your druthers right now,
I would definitely settle for.
Who would you have as the president? The guy who stole the papers detailing the nuclear secrets of a foreign power, or somebody else? Who would you rather have? Who would you like most as the next president?
I'd like to see Kristi Noem.
Who?
Kristi Noem, governor of South Dakota. Hottest president
Hottest president. Okay. All right. Yeah, I'm not even that much familiar with her, but I'll take pictures. Is she in Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue this year? I'll take a look.
Well, no, she's too good looking.
Oh, there you go.
They don't put good looking girls in that anymore.
Thumb through the pages of that magazine during the break right now. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
A federal judge has agreed to appoint a special master to review the documents seized by the FBI during its search at former President Trump's home in Florida last month. The decision comes after Trump's lawyers had asked for a third-party attorney to keep out any privileged materials from the FBI's investigation. This temporarily blocks the Justice Department from continuing to review the seized documents until the special master's review is completed.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. And Tim, so the special master is appointed, and Trump likes that, and he's going to filibuster. But here's the problem. I mean, the FBI did find some documents that he really shouldn't have had. Am I wrong about this?
We have no idea what they found, do we?
Well, I thought they leaked this, of course.
Wait. So is that legal?
Leaking? Oh, of course.
The FBI leaking a case under investigation. So either it was a criminal or a liar that said that they found that stuff.
Yeah,
we don't know which one he is, but it's one of the two.
You're preaching to the choir right now, but let's assuming arguendo that what they found, and I'm sure it is something. I mean, now we should parse the document. Why weren't they? It supposedly has to do with nuclear secrets or very
right,
very important military information of another country that shouldn't have been mixed up with Burger King wrappers in his boxes. I mean,
he was keeping them in his safe under Secret Service guard versus just like previous presidents selling them to the Chinese.
Well, hey, Let's just drop a name like Sandy Berger or Hillary Clinton with 3,000 bleach bitted emails.
You want some uranium, Putin?
Look, I love whataboutism. I think it's a legitimate argument, even though the Latin tu quoque, you too. But the problem with this is when Trump does this, the Republicans' chances plummet. He takes everybody down with him. It happened in Georgia when he made the whole thing about the election. We were rolling along. Sure, there was the Dobbs decision, and I'm sure that was at least a bump in the road for the Republicans on the way to the wave. And yeah, I'm mixing metaphors with bumps and roads and waves, but okay, fine. I'm getting a little verklempt here talking about this. But the problem is that now it looks like it's going to be tight in November. I mean, sure, everything's starting now, the campaigning over the next 2 months, but it just seems
what if the special master comes out and says the only thing we found in those boxes was Melania's underwear?
But they're not going to say that in the Babylon Bee. What says FBI leaks classified
Well, I have
documents.
an anonymous source, Bruce, that
Yes.
actually has told me that. So
An anonymous source.
yeah,
Okay, there you
FBI
go.
source that leaked that to me.
So what is Chris putting on the screen? And Chris, I don't like it when the Babylon Bee is funnier than we are, so it really, but here, FBI leaks classified documents to Washington Post so everyone will know how bad mishandling classified information. Yeah. So, but here's the thing. Every time Trump does this and it makes the story about him, it wrecks the Republicans standing with independents. They don't like it at all. I mean, with me, you're preaching to the choir. They can't stand it. You see that registration among new voters, especially among women, is up. Now that partially could be because of the abortion decision, but it's going to hurt the Republicans. And in fact, as I think John Podhoretz mentioned on the Commentary Magazine podcast, a lot of the Republicans who are running right now for the Senate for the first time are bringing their wives along. The wives are in tow. Look, I'm not a misogynist. I like women. And
tell them about your abortion, sweetie.
Yeah, right. So it looks.
Yeah, I have to say something here to go back to Special Master. I fancy myself a fan of politics and news and court decision. I have never heard of a Special Master before.
I never heard of it either, and I'm a lawyer. But of course, I just do personal injury, and what do I?
It sounds
maybe the occasional closing, but right, yeah.
It sounds something like would be a part of BDSM to me.
Yeah.
More than the legal process.
At least it's this Trump appointed special master. No, it's a Trump judge who appointed the special master. But so it's a problem, and it's an immediate problem because the more it's focused, everything is focused on Trump. The less we focus on Biden. And let's get back to Biden, and let's get back to that speech from last week. When, and of course he had the Leni Riefenstahl background, the red and was ready to sing Edelweiss. Well, not Edelweiss, the German song.
It looked like a scene from The Wall. Do you ever see the movie, The Pink Floyd's The Wall?
Oh, really? Okay. No,
yeah.
I know the album, of course, but the problem, of course, with the speech was you can say there's an authoritarian streak among the Republicans who support Trump, but to have Joe Biden say it, the guy who unilaterally canceled student loans, unconstitutional, and he knows it and admits it, the guy who had a moratorium on evictions, unconstitutional, and he knows it, he was just trying to run out the clock as much as he could. So the ultimate chutzpah on that. So after this happened, Charles C.W. Cook wrote a column for National Review about it, and I retweeted it wholeheartedly. And some guy who follows me on Twitter, I think he's some union guy in Chicago, said, "Oh, I'm sorry for your tears over this, but about 60% of the country believe that this should have happened a long time ago, this speech by Biden." And so my response, of course, it being Twitter, was a very succinct blow me. So he and which I thought said it all. Charles C.W. Cook with the fancy middle initials and everything like that can have the lofty rhetoric. I like to get down to brass tacks there. And the guy then responded.
Bruce B.W. Wolf.
Yeah, there you go.
B.J. Wolf.
Yeah, right. The guy. Well, my initials actually are BMW, Bruce Michael Wolf, and I once got an offer to do like a car dealership thing for, I think it was Phil Wolf or something like that, but it was a Pontiac dealership, and Oprah can give those away before they went extinct, but I wouldn't settle for anything less than BMW, my initials. Of course, I never got that gig. Guy like John Hamm gets it. Okay, go figure. But In any event,
he's dating Flo now in the progressive.
oh man, John
commercials.
Hamm is whoring himself out like it's nobody's business. Yeah, well, when's the next time I'm going to come up with a Coke slogan in 1962? I've got to do these commercials. How much do you think he's getting for those? 10 million, 20 million for those Flo progressive commercials? It's just
not as much as he would have 5 years ago. That's how much he's getting.
Okay. All right, there we go
for them.
So anyway, where did I go once? I'm in a digression within a digression, and help me, Mr. Wizard.
Joe Biden's speech.
Yeah. So so this tweeting. So the guy responded to me and he said, I think I hit a nerve there. You've been repressing something. And I said, I haven't been repressing anything. I've been yelling about Biden for a long time, dumbass. And that was the end of that. But I was willing to go out with a guy, have a beer. Of course, I will have a beer, a Blue Moon, which I will nurse for 2 hours. And anyway, that speech, and I don't know how it played in Peoria or the rest of the country, but it was designed to antagonize Trumpists and even non-Trumpists into supporting Trump, I guess, because they want him to be the candidate against Biden.
They think we're all kooks. That's the problem. They think that all the Trump supporters are kooks, and all they need is just a little bit to set them off, and then they can round them up. They can
instead of doing the nice prosaic thing and nominating Mike Pence for the presidency. So here's another thing, and Tim just found this. I mean, this is a weekly show. It's a lot of people hear it and see it on tape, but we're doing it as if we're live right now. And we just saw this thing. Tim's just saw this thing that the Queen died today, and Joe Biden is this true, or is this some meme that somebody came up with? He's signing the condolence book for Queen Elizabeth, and he has to take a card out in order to write down. Let's see, what was her name again? Because he probably remembers when the throne was abdicated back in the Wallace Simpson days. So he's probably trying to plagiarize what was it, Neil Kinnock or whoever it was, so he can't come up with anything himself, and he's copying something. This is not an open book exam, Mr. President. Can't you just genuinely write something without having an idiot card in front of you?
I think Dr. Jill told him he was back in law school taking the bar.
I mean, oh my goodness. Well, at least he can scratch out, his name, and very nice. Thank you, Mr. President, for being there and being the representative of all of us, of the United States of America, and expressing our condolences to the British people on the death of Her Majesty.
I wonder if he handed the pen to somebody afterwards.
Absolutely, he just thought he signed an executive order eliminating the British Empire. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Well, he says here, transgenderism is against my Christian belief, but which is interesting because from what I understand of what's going on in America is there's a lot of evangelical people who are actually, because they're so homophobic, they're actually pushing their children into being
that's exactly what I was just saying about Iran.
But exactly like that, and sort of saying, "Oh, I don't have a gay son; I've actually got a daughter," and that makes it okay for them.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting.
It's a tricky one, and I totally take your point. And if a school has decided to go down a certain route and feels this man shouldn't be on site, and then he starts barging in, then it's hard to avoid the next stage being policed. But
Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. That's my best Irish accent.
I didn't know. I thought you were attempting a British accent. It sounded Scottish.
I was trying to channel the Lucky Charms leprechaun, who I believe is transitioning. There you go. Right. Now, if he's transitioning, I mean, does he have enough? Remember, he had the yellow hearts, the pink flowers, but he's got to have a whole.
I think he had rainbows for a while.
Well, if you have a rainbow, then you're fine. Then I think he's fine. So, but I mean. Gee
Gay
whiz.
fest of rainbows.
Yeah, no, you got it. So I mean, Ireland shouldn't. shouldn't Ireland be exempt? I mean, all those poets and, and Rory McIlroy and should not have to. The guy was actually, I thought this was a Babylon Bee headline. It's a National Review headline. Irish teacher imprisoned
Uh-huh.
for continuing to teach after refusing to use gender neutral pronouns. I mean, that's
What
what.
I saw the headline, but so is it that he's supposed to use only gender neutral pronouns, or were there certain students that preferred the gender neutral pronouns, and he said no?
I didn't get beyond the headline because I was sick enough at the headline.
because you know what the standard general neutral pronoun is, they and their.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just, which I still don't use it. I still use his and him. Even if it's a woman, I say his and him.
You use guys, even though there's women in the group. Well, here's the thing, and like you said, it is the nation of poets and novelists. It's bad English. You have to say they is going to the store with me.
Ulysses was hard enough to get past page 1. If they start throwing in gender neutral pronouns, what was the book called? Was it called the Doomsday Book? No, the Doomsday Book is not it. There was a Cliff's Notes book that was bigger than Ulysses itself that you could read along with it, a companion to it. I couldn't get past page 5 of that. So I'm not going anywhere near it if you've got the gender neutral pronouns. Let's move along to something equally disgusting. So there's this New York Times daily briefing, and the headline said, "Good morning, climate change has made extreme weather increasingly normal." And so then you start reading the story. In the third paragraph, the guy writes, "Scientists can't say yet with certainty that climate change caused the flooding, but experts told me that it was most likely a contributor." So, you always have that little disclaimer in there.
Sometimes ABC News, they don't do that anymore.
They don't even do the disclaimer.
They're straight out. They said these are the most disastrous floods in 100 years, and climate change contributed. I mean, they flat out.
I mean, not even the veneer of legitimacy anymore. No. They don't actually care about it. And the problem is it depends what experts that you're talking about. And
sure.
Here's the thing. I love how the liberals are always complaining about what technology has done to us. Although, apparently, what country is it that is resoundingly voted in favor of nuclear power again? Was it Germany or one of those continental countries has done it?
Germany's going back to coal.
Well, so they're helmet coal. So no, I just it's. Yeah, because when you're freezing, all of a sudden, there are no atheists for good old fashioned energy in the foxhole. So
what just occurred to me?
Yeah,
that in between World War I and World War II, you would trade a wheelbarrow of cash for a helmet full of coal.
Which I believe is how he got his name. I believe that's how he got his name. Anyway, the liberals they're all about nature and windmills and not upsetting the ecosystem. Except for like one really big thing that has revolutionized the world, and I'm talking about that technological wonder called the pill. No problem with a woman totally wreaking havoc with her body, knocking all the cycles off. That's fine. Yeah, that they're exempt. Even though if you're a good Catholic, you got to say, hey, what are you doing there? Especially, and I got to tell you, I've read that there are modernized. It's a hybrid, a way of doing the rhythm method with using technology. Not the old-fashioned way. You can measure temperatures and everything like that, and then the man and the woman get into a nice little cycle together. Instead of the terrible frustration that occurs when you introduce technology like the pill, and the birth rate goes down to under 2. Enough said. That was the even the Pope would lecture about that. Now I don't know. Don't talk about the pill.
I could be wrong on this, but I think that the new smartwatches are sophisticated enough they can actually tell a woman when she's ovulating.
There you go. How about that?
Yeah. So it actually tells you when the red zone is.
Can a man look at that and see if she's faking pleasure or not? That would really be a smartwatch. That would sell like hot.
Actually, I don't think it would have to be that smart.
All right. So speaking of technological and medicinal wonders, Tim, give me some direction here. Should I get the latest booster? I got to tell you, I'm at least one booster behind. COVID booster. I didn't get the fourth one. Did you get the fourth one?
No, I did the double dose, the 1 and 2. And
you did 1 and 2. Did you do 3?
No, I didn't do the booster.
You didn't do any booster. I did that booster. So if you're like now, so they've already had 4 shots.
Uh-huh.
If you want it, and there's another one coming out, do you have to go back and would you have to go back and take the third one first before you took the fourth and the fifth one? And then
is it like college? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, you can't. You have to have COVID 201 before you're allowed to take COVID 304.
I heard this. I think this was in the Dispatch, and it was about this expert the guy who came up with the cure for the rotavirus, which is diarrhea, and his name is Paul Offit, and he was a real hawk on COVID. He is saying, hold on here about the new booster. It hasn't been proven yet. And, we're already ordering 170 million doses of it. How much do you think that cost Pfizer? How much do you think, how well do you think, to donate to the DNC? Well, I'm just saying here you have, a credible guy who may say, if Jonas Salk said, don't take something right now, I'd give him a listen.
Well, that's where I was after 1 and 2. I figured taking booster 3 or booster 1, I figured it was probably that at that point, the vaccine was probably more dangerous than COVID.
Then there are cures right now or things to treat it, like this Paxlovid apparently. And apparently it's good if you're not vaccinated. So, and Omicron evades the vaccine. So maybe you shouldn't get the booster shots and just take this Paxlovid. It's way too complicated for me.
Well, the Paxlovid, that's kind of creepy because it cures it for a day and then you get it again.
Yeah, that's true. So, in any event, I'm glad to add to the confusion. I know we Americans like certainty here. So let us move on right now. Oh yeah, this is a simpler thing. A Tribune had a story about how it's after Labor Day, Chicago employers thought, okay, now we're finally going to get people to come back to the office. It's post-pandemic. We're going to get people to come back, and they still can't do it. They still can't get people to come back to the office. And I'm thinking, well, primary reason is you can wear white in your own home after Labor Day, and usually it's your underwear. But yeah, it's like the home office is here to stay. Even though we changed into, it's no longer a pandemic. It's
absolutely. Are you wearing pants right now?
I'm wearing short pants. Yeah. Which I would not wear in an office. So that's definitely a problem. Speaking of not wearing clothing, did you see this story? The city of Evanston, which I got it is really neck and neck with Oak Park for becoming a People's Republic. I'm going with Evanston. They came up with reparations, which was really great. Oak Park people have these little cul-de-sacs and everything so that the people from the west side of Chicago don't get in to Oak Park. But I believe that's true. If it isn't, so what? This is a podcast.
But Frank Lloyd Wright designed them, so
they're beautiful. So they're absolutely beautiful.
They were done liberally.
Yeah. So Evanston, some older person has decided that he wants to make Evanston beaches gender neutral. Speaking of that, Evanston Alderman Devon Reed, or is it Devon, proposing removing gender from the city's public nudity law, allowing women to go topless in public. And all I can say to that is boobies, yay.
Well,
Oh,
you
I
know
don't
what?
know.
If
Depends.
Steven Tyler can go to the beach without a shirt on,
Okay.
I
Have not
think.
seen him lately.
Have you
So-
seen? You have not seen the picture of Steven Tyler on
No,
the
what?
beach?
Are things
my
bad
gosh.
now for Steven Tyler?
Oh my gosh, yes, he's got a nice set.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. It takes away from some of the vigor of the singing. If I actually have to think of that.
Yeah, dude looks like a lady.
Oh yeah, yeah. My kids used to think that song was "Do the Cock-a Lady."
Well,
But
kind of.
yeah, there you go. Now he is. So coming up in the next segment, we've got. You could just take the next segment off, but try to pay attention if you can. We got Brucervations, and I believe we have Chet Chit Chat coming up as well by not popular demand, but by at least some demand. Bruce Wolf and Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap.
What do you tell someone who has aspirations to follow in Garry Meier's footsteps?
Go work for Amazon or Google or what, one of those companies that are that are taking over the world. Boy, and people would say this when I first started. Oh, that's a rough business. Get into something else. Now it's a brutal business because 3 companies, for the most part, bought all the radio stations and squeezed the life out of them and controlled the game board to where you couldn't really maneuver. Where if you left one station, they probably owned the other one that you wanted to go to. It's not for the
pivoting
squeamish.
was a lot easier if you're out of work back in the day.
It's not for the squeamish, and I noticed over the years that there isn't any real new talent coming up because a lot of people didn't want to put up with the shit we put up with going through this in the early days. They really don't want to do it now.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the weekly wrap. Well, that's a downer. Tim, Garry Meier poo-pooing radio. I'm going to quit radio. Oh, wait, radio quit me already. So, yeah.
You can't fire me. I quit.
Oh, my goodness. The thing is, and I apparently there was, Garry was interviewed by Rick Kempfer for the Illinois Entertainer, I think it is. And he said, the radio is so boring because it's all about the political issues over and over and over again. And I'm saying, well, first off, you could always tune into Bob Surratt. He'll tell you whether you should put ketchup on a hot dog. So, and he does that on the 5s. But no, the thing, you can't really complain about the media anymore because there's always somewhere else you can go. I mean,
there's more media. Yeah, there's more media now than there ever has been.
Yeah, I mean, I could understand in the old days when there was, unanimity of opinion and it was homogenized and all that. And, that's why Steve and Garry were so revolutionary at the time. But now, Garry complains it's not entertaining. We'll go somewhere else. That's all. Go to Garry Meier's podcast. Anyway, but speaking of, and it's so dull, the media right now. There are no superstars anymore, especially locally. That Rob Feeder, I don't know what the reason was that he quit, but he did quit. And I hate when I have to explain the bit that I'm going to do, but it's so contorted. Anyway, I'm trying to keep his spirit alive and channeling it through the voice of Irv Cups in it. If you follow that, and if you do, you've got a lot of problems. My very own Brucervations. Fahey Flynn is still dead. A reporter's report. NBC is considering cutting out primetime programming altogether, which means Channel 5 would have a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 o'clock news. The Englewood community has promised to up its murder rate to fill the news time, but Mayor Lightfoot is asking all neighborhoods to do their fair share. Sight seen. The late Mark Giangreco and the gorgeous GORJUS Janet Davies are rehearsing their 2-person show of the one-man show Give Him Hell Harry about President Truman. Mark will play Truman as a man. Janet will play him as the trans woman he would have been had mid-20th century taboos not existed. The play will have a limited run at Dex Card's Wild Goose in Schererville. Swallow. And then I emoted, WLS radio ad execs are doing cartwheels over landing the thalidomide account. And the late Irv Kupcinet's statue on Bull Mish will be torn down and replaced by a statue of his black female assistant, Stella Foster. And that's Brucervations. Very nice. Thanks so much for that. And thank you for the generous laughter, Tim, as always. So there's this Joe Biden revealed or unveiled the portraits of the Obamas, and the press corps went gaga over it. And can we see those portraits? If you're listening to this, you can't, and I don't see it either right at the moment, but I understand that they were stellar portraits. We're going to show those post haste. Here we go. Yeah. Well, and it looks like Michelle's is a painting, and Obama's looks more like a photograph. Although I guess it's a painting. What say you to these portraits?
Well, what happened to those portraits they had before? I thought those were their portraits. If you remember, they had the one where
it was the floral background. Remember?
Well, no, it would look like Barack Obama was like fading into the ivy, like that Homer Simpson meme. He was in a chair, like he was at the outfield of Wrigley Field.
Yeah, no, it's like when Andre Dawson came out of the ivy, so Obama just went back in.
And then Michelle was kind of like, it looked kind of like a kid did it. It was it was so. But here's the thing that's interesting to me. That's the same dress she was wearing in the other one.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So did they take the old one and touch it up?
Tim, that woman, Michelle Obama, is amazing. She should run for president of the United States, because I love the way she would speak with the teleprompter right in front of her. She'd make it seem like she was stuttering when all the words were right in front of her. I'm so proud of the United States for the first time in my life. And no, lady, the words are right in front of you, and you don't have a stuttering problem unless you're making fun of Joe Biden right now. And I don't think you're doing that, but you're trying to make it look like you're reaching for just the right words, and they're right there in front of you. And that's a talent.
Well, you're assuming, Bruce, that the stuttering wasn't written into the teleprompter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's like the Coen brothers when they wrote Fargo. Every and and it was in the script. It sounded improvised, but it was
totally.
Totally.
And that's got to be the hardest thing in the world, to make it sound like something's like something's improvised when it isn't. I mean, for example, they always talk about Larry David, that's improvised. Well, there's no way that's improvised, because the whole point of a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode is to take you from point A to point B to point C to point D to point E, because it's such a Rube Goldberg invention of things that happen. So there's no way. I mean, I could see there's some improvising within the plot points, but not a hell of a lot. Get to the next point, Richard Lewis. A lot of times the improvising is they're just staring at each other and trying not to crack up. Looks like. I mean, it's a great show, but that's a revelation about the Coen. Boy, those guys are control freaks.
Yeah,
it works.
Yeah,
it totally works.
Like Hitchcock almost, huh?
Oh, that's unbelievable. But anyway, so I would strongly urge Michelle Obama to take up the mantle and run for president of the United States. One of the problems though with her was, of course there was a double standard. Remember, she would be like on Ellen and do push-ups on Ellen to show, she has the greatest arms in the world.
Wait, Michelle Obama did push-ups.
Oh yeah,
Ellen?
she did, and I don't think they were
the
girl
show.
Push-ups.
The show, you mean?
Who did I say? She did push-ups on Ellen's show.
Oh,
okay. To show off her guns. Okay. I don't know what I said there.
So you said she did push-ups on Ellen, and that. That brought to mind a different visual.
Yeah. No, so she would do that, and
because Ellen's gay, she wouldn't.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. So I remember when Ellen kissed on TV, a woman. It was so revolutionary back then. But here's the thing. She, so you were allowed to praise Michelle Obama for her, her wonderful biceps. but that didn't open the door to, criticizing anything about her physical appearance. So that's
Sure.
double standard.
You weren't allowed to say anything about the jock strap.
Well, I wasn't even thinking of that. I was thinking, the tuchus. But anyway, and I said it in. Notice I did it in a little Yiddishism to make it nice. But whereas a guy like Chris Christie, open season on his girth.
Sure.
So kind of a double standard there. Anyway, are you ready? I know you are, with bated breath, for a preview of the Chicago Bears season. Here we go with Chet Chit Chat here with the lobotomy lot of sports. And better, I want to tell you the Chicago Bears, the monsters of the Northwest Highway. Where is Arlington Park anyway? But what a team that's been assembled this year. We're talking Jaquan Brisker. We're talking Kyler Gordon. We're talking Braxton Jones. We're talking where. The Bears have a Braxton Jones and a Velus Jones Jr. and a Roquan Smith. You can never go wrong if you guess that the team has its fair shares of Smiths and Joneses. And yet, despite that, the Bears are ranked 32nd out of 32 in the Niffle Network's power rankings. At this point, there may be more Chicago sports fans who know who Candace Parker is than recognize the Chicago Bear. But I have faith because we've got a Roquan and a Jaquan and a Justin. And did you see how we ripped apart the Cleveland Browns who were playing without a couple of their stars in the final exhibition? No, neither did I. I'm too busy watching Candace Parker. No, I'm not. And it's not because I'm sexist. As long as a woman is riding a dragon like in the Game of Thrones prequel, I'm all in. I don't know. I think I may be through with the Bears. I've had enough. I think I have forgotten the way they thrill the nation with their T formation. How much pro football can you take in one life? Virginia McCaskey is going to be 100 years old. I remember when she was a pup of 63. That was when the Bears won the Super Bowl. So much has happened. The Bears may build a new stadium. The guy they brought on to bring their current stadium, Ted Phillips, because Michael McCaskey turned off Mayor Daley, is being cashed in as the Bears go for a newer stadium. Maybe there's a time that a fan is cashed in too. James Caan, the guy who played the late Brian Piccolo, is now late himself. I love Jimmy Caan. I hope you love him too. Pardon my Billy D. Williams, Gale Sayers. Oh, Gale's going too. Anybody here see my old friend Gale? Every year I predict the Bears will go 8-8, and in the aggregate, I'm probably close to right. But this year I'm going to say 0-16. But you say, Chet, they play 17 games. Not this year. I say they quit after 16 games. They take their ball and they go home. Rand Road, as the late track announcer Phil George F. would have said, here they come headed for home, Arlington Park. That is a lobotomy lot of sports up Chet Chit Chat. There you go.
2 in 1 segment.
Huh? All in one.
2 of your puppets in one segment.
2 of my puppets, one for each hand. There we go. And a little stuttering too. Tim, as always, a pleasure doing
it's
this
been
show
fun
with you, and just wonderful. And God save the Queen, or the King Chuck III. Bruce Wolf.
He hasn't chosen yet.
I think it's King Charles III. I think that's what he's going to be called. I'm not sure. You don't know?
I don't know if he's chosen king or queen.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle. I walked right into that one on the weekly wrap.
And that's the weekly wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The weekly wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production. Copyright 2022.